CM Punk left AEW in a blaze of glory, but since then, he stayed with the flailing promotion in spirit. Cousin Phil fought his way out of Florida, but his presence has haunted Tony Khan every day since his departure. In fact, what if I told you that CM Punk has trolled AEW every single month since his return to WWE? Today, we're going to look at the rebirth of CM Punk in WWE and how he used it to become AEW's worst nightmare through Easter eggs, veiled shots, and outright burials of his former employer. We're going to take a look at every time CM Punk went out of his way to remind Tony Khan and AEW of one of their biggest fumbles, and why CM Punk will never be done trolling one of his biggest rivals. Subscribe and vibe.
Pro Wrestling Bits.
CM Punk is the 50 Cent of pro wrestling. No, he's not a cancer. I mean, some would argue he is, but I'm not even talking about that type of cancer. I'm talking astrologically. Zodiacally, Punk isn't a cancer, but he sure beefs like one. And when it comes to Cousin Phil, once an enemy, always an enemy. Unless you're WWE and 10 years go by, but you get it. CM Punk was fired from AEW in September of 2023 after a biblical series of backstage fights with the Young Bucks and Jack Perry and a shoot promo at the all-out media scrum in between. Punk's feud with AEW is more interesting than just about anything that happens on Dynamite these days, unless you're timeless or you hurt people. Shouts to Max Caster and Ricochet too, more specifically Twitter Ricky. But let's go back to the night after Survivor Series, when CM Punk made his unlikely return to WWE. Punk cut a welcome back promo on Raw that touched on his AEW departure, with Punk calling himself the most dangerous man in the industry. WWE lives in its own world and rarely makes references to the industry as a whole, because in Stanford, WWE is the industry. Punk's line was a passive shot at AEW, with Punk referring to his various fisticuffs against Jack Perry and the EVPs. Punk signed off on his promo with a victory lap, similar to the Young Bucks' now infamous victory lap of their own the night CM Punk was fired at Collision and inside a building that was emptier than Tony Khan's notepad during a creative meeting. The next month, CM Punk made his return to SmackDown. That December, Punk once again made a reference to his pugnacity with a tongue-in-cheek comment about punching people in the face.
And I don't know who would feel comfortable working with somebody who randomly just punches people in the face backstage. I mean, it's 2023, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't be doing stuff like that. That's insane.
Despite how hard this landed on the internet, mainstream wrestling fans in the building didn't react to this barb at all. This was further proof that outside of subreddits and comment sections, not a lot of people follow AEW like that. Therefore, most references to CM Punk's backstage shenanigans in All Elite outhouses fell on deaf ears. In January of 2024, right before the Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes referred to Punk's attempt at a revolution, only to take credit for the revolution Rhodes started in AEW. Without directly mentioning AEW, Cody Rhodes said he was more CM Punk than Phil Brooks, because instead of disappearing for 7 years after his WWE exit, Cody started his own company and changed the business altogether. Bars. This was actually one of the best promo exchanges of the modern wrestling era, and I truly believe that Punk and Cody going back and forth will stand the test of time as one of the all-time great promo battles during WrestleMania season. WrestleMania was in Las Vegas this year, and last February, an injured CM Punk appeared on a WWE panel to speak truth to violence, ahead of a course-correcting press conference after fans rejected The Rock's attempt to replace Cody Rhodes in the WrestleMania main event. CM Punk begged somebody, anybody,
Punch people in the face!
At this point, I don't gotta remind you as to why CM Punk would ask for this type of violence, but in the end, Punk basically got his wish after Cody Rhodes slapped the shit out of Dwayne. Close enough. The brilliance of WWE booking CM Punk throughout his triceps injury is he didn't just disappear off TV like most injured talent in AEW, or for that matter, most healthy talent in AEW. Cousin Phil wasn't benched. Instead, WWE realized that one of Punk's most effective body parts was his mouth. Pause. And despite being on the shelf, Punk's all-world oratorial skills remained at 100%. In his hometown of Chicago on the March 25th broadcast of Raw, CM Punk came for The Rock, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre, who we'll get to soon enough. Punk took another shot at AEW with an off-the-cuff line about listening to the experience in the drive-thru. Of course, this is in reference to AEW Forever Op Jim Cornette, who hosts the Jim Cornette Experience and the Jim Cornette drive-thru. Punk also said when you have a problem in Chicago, you handle it face-to-face, just like he handled the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega face-to-face in his hometown of Chicago at the Brawl Out. But CM Punk wasn't the only top WWE star who trolled AEW in the month of March. In fact, Drew McIntyre built his whole rebirth on being a troll, and AEW was one of his favorite targets. At the beginning of his own victory lap after injuring CM Punk, McIntyre appeared outside of Mindy's Bakery ahead of Raw's return to Chicago last March. A nod to the Mindy's muffins that CM Punk was scarfing down in between his scathing comments about the elite Colt Cabana and AEW. But Drew McIntyre didn't become a star by leaving well enough alone. In addition to his social media video at Mindy's, McIntyre made another social media post working out to Cry Me a River.
Let's test those triceps.
A phrase straight out of Jack Perry's mouth that sparked the Brawl In. Savage. The following month was the same month as WrestleMania 40. Punk was physically unable to compete, but he replaced an in-ring match with a podcast pipe bomb. One of the top advantages of WWE reuniting with CM Punk was they now had one of the most influential wrestlers in history cutting real-life promos against AEW. This was better PR against All Elite Wrestling than any Fast Nationals tweet, albeit not by that much. Punk appeared on Ariel Helwani's podcast to do what most people do on Ariel's podcast and shit on AEW.
I find that, especially AEW, that I find that they're mostly actors trying to pretend to be wrestlers.
How do you feel about the state of AEW right now?
I feel that there's been a couple of things that I wish would have hit better. They gotta stop making Jon Moxley and his crew run away from everybody. As far as the faceless account fans, I will be there to give you all problems.
What about your take on the current state of All Elite Wrestling? What do you think? How are they doing right now?
Well, they're horrible.
Even Ariel Helwani buried AEW on Ariel Helwani's podcast.
Now, the Tony Khan interview. Whatever I'm going to say here is going to piss off the AEW supermarks. But I'll just say this. One of the most frustrating and, to a degree, not so fun interviews of my career.
I guess it pays to be Nick Khan's ex-client. Anyway, ex-AEW wrestler Phil Brooks didn't hold back when talking about his time in AEW, going as far as to claim that AEW is not a real business. Damn! Punk also dropped one of my favorite lines of the year when he was all like,
if you're more happy with some goof saying that you had a 5-star match and the building's a quarter full, we're not in the same business.
Right.
Punk also detailed his backstage fight with Jack Perry at All In, saying he didn't punch anybody, he just choked him a little bit. This sparked a full-on crash out from AEW, who felt compelled to show the real-life backstage footage on their fake wrestling TV show that same month. The footage showed CM Punk getting the better of Perry in a fight. He didn't punch anybody, he just choked Jack a little bit. To the layman who does not spend his whole life on Twitter, so like most of the 18 to 49 demographic, AEW's angle made it seem like CM Punk might be coming back. Therefore, the ratings spiked for the April 10th broadcast of Dynamite. But with every passing week where it became clear Cousin Phil wasn't coming back to AEW, ratings plummeted hard, especially in 18 to 49. Given free reign to Dookie all over AEW while recovering from injury, CM Punk dangled the bait in front of AEW's desperate faces. Not only did they take the bait, they scarfed it down on television like it was a muffin from Mindy's, and they've never been the same since. If that's not AEW becoming a pro wrestling lolcow, I don't know what is.
Because you're a choke artist.
Not like how I'm a joke artist, Pat.
Two very different things.
I just choked somebody a little bit.
Phil spent the summer of Punk 2024 by trolling AEW through sweets. Punk recreated his munchie moment in Chicago by bringing sweet treats to post-match press conferences, something he still does to this day. After Punk screwed Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle in June, he brought donuts. The next month, after screwing both Drew and Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank in Toronto, Punk brought Tim Hortons. For good measure, Punk posted the same spritzer water can featured during his all-out shoot promo the year before. Not to be outdone, at the height of Drew McIntyre's feud against CM Punk, Drew once again stepped up to troll Punk and AEW with an actual picture alongside Jack Perry. Speaking of Jungle Boy, Punk carried that momentum into AEW's biggest show of the year the following month without even having to be there. Jack Perry's brand new gimmick was based on Perry's punishment in the wake of losing a brawl to Punk. During Perry's casket match against Darby Allin, fans chanted for CM Punk. They chanted "Cry Me a River." They also chanted "Fuck CM Punk." With the point being, CM Punk lived in AEW's heads rent-free 1 year later, even during what was supposed to be their finest hour at All In, AEW's WrestleMania. During a live taping of the Masked Man show in August, Punk pushed back against claims that he was a locker room cancer. Punk said,
If you were a piece of shit and you act that way to me, I will treat you that way.
In September of 2024, CM Punk called himself the fictitious boogeyman, a reference to all the people in AEW who remained scared of him. In October of that same year, CM Punk called WWE his home, completely refuting his original welcome back promo at the first dance when he said the same about AEW. Punk also addressed his all-elite critics by saying to all the people who don't like him at all, he turned their hate into cash. Speaking of Punk's critics, the beginning of the end of Punk's honeymoon period in AEW can be traced back to Hangman Adam Page's shoot promo on Punk during a tense showdown on a 2022 episode of Dynamite. Since then, a lot of Punk's OOC comments have been targeted toward Hangman Adam Page, like his ESPN interview before his short-lived comeback to AEW. Punk once again took a shot at the Hangman recently in an interview with Peter Rosenberg when he referred to wasted matches he had in AEW.
I feel like I wasted some matches on some people for sure.
Punk wasn't done with the Hangman just yet. The next month, December, for those of you counting at home, Punk turned on Rosenberg for Peter's use of the word moveset. Punk eviscerated Pete for the word.
And don't say moveset.
Sorry.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
It's nerdy. If you say that, you're an idiot. Especially if you're a wrestler and you say moveset.
No, then you're a total.
That 100% tells me that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
It's no coincidence that Hangman Adam Page used the term moveset just days before. CM Punk took his trolling to one of WWE's biggest stages of all time on Raw's Netflix debut. Punk main evented that historic show. His ring gear of choice? The same exact jacket he wore when he fought Jack Perry at the Brawl In. That wasn't even the only AEW troll job from Punk that night, because as a callback to previous shots at AEW, CM Punk brought Randy's Donuts to the post-Netflix press conference. The best donuts in the world for the best in the world, Inglewood stand up. Come February, Punk joined forces with former Collision recruit and current WWE co-worker Ricky Saints. The Second City Saint posed with Ricky, fresh off of storming out of AEW, with the simple caption, "Couple of Saints." WWE is booking circles around AEW when it comes to the artist formerly known as Ricky Starks, who won the NXT North American title in a main event match against former AEW star Shawn Spears. Perhaps CM Punk's greatest WWE promo came in March of this year, and that's a high bar. The night after John Cena's heel turn, where he sold his soul to The Rock, Punk cut a promo on his boss, calling Dwayne a bald fraud. WWE shot CM Punk in the exact same way AEW shot MJF when he cut a promo on his boss. Later on that month, Punk quoted one of his many memorable lines from the AEW All Out media scrum by saying,
I work with children.
I'm hurt and I'm old and I'm fucking tired and I work with fucking children.
CM Punk continues to keep the streak alive as recently as this month. On the April 7th broadcast of Raw, it was Seth Rollins, while building a WrestleMania feud with Punk, who quoted a famous CM Punk line when Seth said,
Stop me when I'm telling lies, Paul.
16 months and counting, CM Punk will never be done with AEW, and I'm here for it. Punk is a favorite to feud with John Cena down the line, who already dropped an absolute scud missile on AEW this month, saying,
I make empires for billionaires. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids.
Between Cena and CM Punk, a promo battle between the GOATs would leave AEW sickos in shambles. Check out this video and subscribe. What are some of your favorite CM Punk troll jobs against AEW? Tell me in the comments.